Hi, it's Lucy, and today we're here to do my April Magical Readathon TBR. If you don't already know, the Magical Readathon is a readathon that is run mostly twice a year with some extra events in between by G from Book Roast, and it is themed around being a student at a magical school, and you have to read books to complete your classes and pass the semester. This round is a spring equinox round. There will be an autumn equinox round that hopefully, cross your fingers, I will also take part in, and G has put in a lot of work to make this readathon as fun and interesting as possible. Part of this readathon is that you get to have your own character that is going through the school, going through the classes, living in this magical world that she put together. And so I made my own character, which you can see right next to me. My name is Lucy. I decided not to make like a specialty kind of character or anything. It's just me. And you get like sorted into a guild. My guild is the House of the Arcane. As you do this readathon over the years, you become better at whatever calling you are, which I'll get to in a second. So right now I'm a novice because this is actually the first time I'm taking part in this rendition of the Magical Readathon. If you've been on my channel for a long time, you'll know that the Magical Readathon used to look a little different and G changed it. And just a few more things about my character on the character sheet, my background, so whether I'm an urban dwelling person or a wildling, I'm an urban dwelling person, which is true in real life. And I've chosen the province Corridor, which you can read more about if you're interested in the readathon, but it's just choosing like where your character's from in this magical world. And also my heritage, so my character, the kind of person they are is an elf. And you can also choose your lunar phase at birth, and I chose alignment. You also get to choose a conduit, which I've chosen an orb. And because of the guild I'm in, you can choose like a specialty item, I guess. And I chose the Locket of the Clear Mind, which is supposed to allow you to have a clear mind for a certain amount of time, and I really need that. I wish that existed in real life. I could use that so much. So I decided to use that as my legacy in the game because I really want it to exist in real life. And the thing that I left out, but you can see, is my calling. I chose the Illusionist Rogue as my calling. It sounded the most interesting to me at this time, along with the challenges that you have to do. It didn't have too many that I felt like I couldn't complete it. Their main thing is that they are gaining the power to distort reality. They're able to disguise their voices, maybe make people who are pursuing them, because, you know, rogue, maybe we steal things sometimes. Make it so that if someone's pursuing them, they think they ran into a wall or something like that. The key traits are being charismatic, clever, playful, insightful, and sly. So I thought that was fun. So that is everything about the character that I chose to create for this. The main portion of the readathon is obviously the reading challenges. This is all like icing on the cake. Before we get to those challenges though, I'm sure you're questioning about the title. I said it was going to be a Magical Readathon competition. And that's true. I have decided to compete against someone in the real world who is also entering this fantasy world into this readathon. If you've been on my channel for a year or so, you might remember about a year ago now, I had a video with someone I said I found on the street. He came up in front of my house again, so I decided to challenge him to a magical school duel, basically, and we're competing with this readathon. So without further ado, my competitor.
Hi, I'm Alec.
Alec's going to introduce his character to you.
Yes, I'm very excited to introduce to you in the world Brimgald Lomebones, the necromancer dwarf of the Crescent Guild. He's from the underground wilds of the Dark Meadow. Some facts about him. As a necromancer, he does a whole bunch of stuff like bring a bunch of people back to life for, you know, necromancer stuff. I don't know, what do necromancers do?
That's it.
As a necromancer and a member of the Crescent Guild, I get a little familiar friend who is Chuckle Honey Lomebones IV, who is my skeleton armadillo.
Yeah, so I've decided that since we're in competition, we're sharing it with you all. I don't know how we'll share who wins.
Winner gets a pizza party.
Okay. I'm guaranteeing an April wrap-up. He may or may not be in it, but I will let you know who wins. The winning condition is finishing all your classes. So we will tell you the classes that we're individually taking for our individual callings. I already have an advantage because I only have 3 classes to take and he has
7.
That was his choice, okay?
Still gonna win.
Okay, sure. Whatever he says. So we'll try and go back and forth. I have a couple of other books that I'm trying to read in April as well. They don't count for our competition, but I will share those as well. So the first class that I'm taking is Shapeshifting, and in that class we will be learning mimics. And the challenge is to read from an author that blurbed the last 5-star you read. For this, I will be reading City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. So I will tell you how I got here. I am fudging the challenge a little bit because last year I read 3 5-star books and one of them was a reread. It was Raybearer. That was my last video also, by the way, finally getting the detailed reading vlog of that. So if you're interested, definitely click that video, check it out. So the people who blurbed Raybearer, I did not want to read their books. Nothing against them, but I just didn't want to go like super off my TBR and pick out a book that I didn't have an interest in before, because I have so many books on my TBR. There's not a lot of point in doing that. So I went back, and the previous 5-star I read then was Anthropocene Reviewed. Talked about that in my favorites of 2023. I could only find one person who blurbed it, and they wrote, not my type of book at all, so I didn't want to read that either. So then I went further back, and the 5-star I read before that was Solutions and Other Problems, and Elizabeth Gilbert blurbed that. So here we are. City of Girls follows an 89-year-old woman who's retelling her life from when she was 19 years old, living with her aunt, working at a flamboyant playhouse. I've heard good things about this. This is kind of like a fictional memoir, basically. This woman is retelling her life. She's old now, and she's going back to her youthful years. So that always sounds interesting to me, and so I'm excited to read it.
Brimgald Lonebones is also taking the Shapeshifting class. I'm going to be reading for that Altered Carbon by
Richard Morgan.
Left a blurb for The Lives of Locke Lamore by Scott Lynch, which is one of the last books I read that I gave 5 stars, so don't really know much about it, but I know that a lot of people like it, so.
The next class I will be taking is The Art of Illusion. In that class, we will be learning the spell Shadow Play, and the challenge for that is to pick a book that has the word game or play in the title. So for that, I will be reading Middle Game by Shannon McGuire. I am sure you've heard of this book, very popular on BookTube a couple of years ago when it first came out. Shannon McGuire is a beloved author. I've read the majority of her other series, the Wayward Children series. I also have a video on that if you're interested. So I know that I do enjoy her writing, and I've heard a lot of good things about this book. I actually don't have a full synopsis on what it's about. I know that it's about twins who are born. One is really good at math and one is really good at English words and stuff. And somehow they are like bringing about an alchemical revolution. I think that's what it is. Don't quote me.
I am not taking that class. Next one up for me in my list is the class of Inscription, where I choose 3 titles that sort of I bet have been on my radar, been trying to read for a while, and I pick one. So the 3 I have are Gideon the Ninth, The Torturous Apprentice, and Red Seas Under Red Skies. And I will be reading Red Seas Under Red Sky.
Where did you get this?
I have dice.
Why?
You don't have dice?
You just carry it. Why do you have? This is actually really weird because we only decided to do this today. And you have to say what you were doing, something.
I rolled the dice for it. I had to choose one of 3, so I rolled a 6-sided dice and I chose one of the numbers.
So 5 and 6 was the third one, 3 and 4 was the second one he said, and 1 and 2 was the first one he said.
Maybe.
What?
Anyways, the next class I was taking is Animal Studies, which just required that I have a book that has a yellow title. I chose one that I may be currently reading. This isn't cheating, so...
It's cheating.
It's not cheating.
It's cheating.
I'm reading Wizard's First Rule by Terry Goodkind. It's a book about a guy who gets a magic sword and then has a wizard mentor, and he has to stop the big bad evil guy. It's pretty good. There's 11 books in this series. I didn't realize that when I started reading it.
And the last class that I will be taking for the Magical Readathon is Psionics and Divination. The spell we're learning is Clairsentience 2, or I don't know what that means. And the challenge is to do a prediction bingo. So for this, I could choose any book, and then I had to make a bingo board based on the book. The book I chose is Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and this is the bingo board I made. I really did have a hard time making up the predictions. Turns out I'm not actually clairvoyant. So these are the predictions that I made. Hopefully they come true, and let me know what you think of them.
Brimgald Lonebones still has so many classes left to take. The next class Brimgald's taking is Spells and Incantation, which basically I just rolled a 20-sided dice, and whatever number came up, that's how many words in the title of the book I have to read. So I rolled a 9, which gave me Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. That's 9 words. I don't know who wrote it.
Benjamin Alira Science.
I knew that. I don't know much about it, but Lucy said it was good, and I trust her.
It's about 2 teen boys who are growing up, figuring out their sexualities.
For the Conjuration class, Brimgald is reading a book that has a color that is orange-brown. So I chose Dress Your Family in Corduroy and Denim. Another book I don't really know a lot about, but people on Goodreads seem to think it's pretty funny. So I'm putting in a lot less thought than Lucy is. Next class, Restoration, which is a book that you think could cure slumps. So I chose Perfect Sound Whatever by James Acaster, simply because he's my favorite comedian. I love his off-menu podcast. And also the title is reference to one of my other favorite albums of all time, Worry by Jeff Rosenstock. Second to last class is Lore, which is Reread The Legend of Dia, which you know more about than me.
That is something that G made up. It's part of like the lore of the world that we're in.
I love lore. This is going to be fun. The last course that Brimgold is taking is Demonology, which is a book I didn't pay for. So I'm reading The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson, which is a book I got from a little free library. We don't have to talk about how long I've had it. It's famous. I think there's a murder. They made a movie about it.
That's the end of his TBR. For the record, he has not read more than a book a month since I've known him. So, also he is a stranger, so I could be wrong.
I'm gonna win.
I do have one more book to share that's not part of the Magical Readathon, but I do want to read this month for a special video that may or may not come out this month. But I will not promise anything because every time I promised a video, I lied. This is Don't Cry For Me by Daniel Black. This is about a man on his deathbed. I will read you the little blurb that is on the inside cover. A black father makes amends with his gay son through letters written on his deathbed in this wise and penetrating novel of empathy and forgiveness. I don't know why I thought this was written in poetry, but it's not. But yeah, it's written in letters. And it will definitely be very sad, and hopefully I like it. That is both of our Magical Readathon TBRs. I might do a month-long reading vlog and tell you my opinion as it goes, and he can feature sometimes in there. Let me know in the comments down below if you are taking part in the Magical Readathon. Let me know what your character is, what your class is, anything you want to tell me, what you're reading. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. YouTube thinks you will like this video that's in between us, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Whoa!